Welcome back to my channel, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Jen Clayton Beauty. We do everything beauty and makeup, and that includes testing new makeup. I have a lot of new makeup due to advent calendar season, as well as subscription boxes and things I've purchased for myself. So today we're going to try out all of the makeup that I got in my Ipsy subscription box for December. I am catching up on all of the testing new makeups. You're going to see a lot of those videos in February. So if you're excited, give this video a huge thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, your bell notification is turned on, because like I said, I have a lot of videos coming your way. Down in the description box, I will link Ipsy if you're interested in subscribing. I will also link all of the individual makeup products that we are testing out today if you wanted to pick any of them up for yourself. And thank you so much for using my links. It really helps support my channel. I'll also have my other favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing in today's video if you would like to shop this look, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. Let me share with you the products we're testing out today. I'll zoom you in and we'll get started. Today's video came from my Ipsy subscription box, starting with this pretty controversial one. This is from Ciate, London. This is the Cherry Bomb Blush and Highlighter palette. Now, I say this is controversial because people were saying this looks nothing like the picture that Ipsy shared on their website, and they are 100% correct. When I did my Ipsy unboxing, I popped in the picture of what Ipsy said this palette looks like, and this palette looks nothing like that. So it's a little bit of a bait and switch, and people were really upset about it. I'll link my Ipsy unboxing video down below for you. This is what the palette looks like. Now, it is very gray leaning, which is what people were complaining about, because on the Ipsy website, it's very pink leaning. And what this is it's a highlighter and a blush palette. So there's two blush shades, two highlighter shades. Let me swatch these for you. I'm nervous because if these are gray leaning, cool tone gray, they're not going to be my favorite. So let me swatch them and see what they look like. I have not touched this palette since I received it. Okay, I will say these swatched a lot better than I was expecting. So here's the light pink blush, here's the little bit more berry toned blush, and then honestly the highlighters are really pretty, especially this one here that definitely looks more gray leaning in the pan. This one definitely looks like it has more of a gray undertone, but it didn't swatch with a gray undertone. So honestly, first impression wise, this is better than I expected. We also have a verified liquid liner from Ofra. Now, Ofra's not my favorite brand in the whole world, at least eyeshadow wise. I do like their complexion products, like their blushes, their highlighters, and this is just a liquid felt tip liner, which is what I always use. So I'm interested to test out Ofra's formula. I feel like I'm a liquid liner connoisseur, so I'll be able to tell you what I think of the formula. And then I was excited for this. This is from Lunar Beauty. This is the Moon Prism Liquid Blush in the shade Fuchsia. Now, I'm excited for this too because I do love a good cream liquid blush. Here is what it looks like. It is a bright pink shade. So I'm excited to test this out. I do love Lunar Beauty as a brand. It does have a big doe foot applicator here. Let me actually swatch this. Oh yeah, that is really, really bright. Look at that. Wow. That is like neon Barbie pink. And then last but not least, we actually have a 5-pan Natasha Denona palette called Rose and Wood. So this is one, it has one matte and 4 shimmer. So that's always something I'm not a big fan of. I'd rather my palette be a little bit more matte heavy. And truthfully, these two shimmers, they don't look that different in the pan. And because there's only one matte and it's a deep matte, it's gonna be interesting creating a look with this palette. Now, typically I do like Natasha Denona's formula, so we're gonna test this out. I just have to be a little creative in how I put together a look with only one single deep matte. But let me go ahead and swatch the palette. So here is that Natasha Denona palette swatched. Absolutely beautiful. So there's your one matte. Now this brown shimmer, I think I'm going to try to incorporate that a little bit. Love the inclusion of the pink shimmer. And then like these are more different swatched out than I thought that they would be, which makes me really happy. It's definitely going to make this palette a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more versatile. Let me zoom you in and let's start this testing new makeup. I've done my complexion products. I want to try out the Lunar Beauty Cream Blush. This is really, really bright, which is not exactly ideal for this more neutral palette. So I'm going to go very, very, very light-handed with this. I'm going to start with just 2 tiny dots on each cheek. And I'm gonna use my finger and just tap that in. Yeah, wow, this is very bright. Very pigmented. And then using my damp beauty sponge, I'm going to tap that into the skin. That's actually really pretty. Once I tap it in and diffuse it out a little bit, it's a very, very pretty color. That's beautiful. It's a nice pink blush. I actually like it more than I thought that I would. I mean, it's bright and it's bold, but you can diffuse it out. I would definitely say go light-handed because it's very, very pigmented. It gave me enough time to blend it out before it dried down. I think it's really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and set my face with some translucent setting powder. That way I can set the cream blush in place before we test out the Ciate London palette. And I'm actually using the Glam Light translucent setting powder. All right, let's go into the controversial Ciate palette. Now for me, this is pretty light. So I think I'm going to use the deeper shade in the palette called Juicy. And I'm going to pick that up, tap it off a little bit. That's a nice color. It's a little bit more even orangey, corally leaning than I expected, but that's actually really pretty. It goes nicely with the cream blush. It's a little, like I said, a little bit more orangey than I would expect from looking at the pan, but honestly, it's a nice blush shade and it went on beautifully. Now for highlighter, I think I want to use the shade Happy Hour. This one still makes me nervous. Even though it swatched a little bit more on the pink side, I feel a little more comfortable with Happy Hour. Okay, that's beautiful. Bring a little bit of that down my nose and up on my brow. This is definitely a beautiful, beautiful highlight. My only complaint so far is that I feel like it's sitting on my skin a little bit. It's not one of those highlighters that just sinks right into the skin. I do feel like it's sitting there. Let me go ahead and set my face with some setting spray. Sometimes that's what sinks everything in, and then I'll come back and we'll test out the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. Now that definitely helped a little bit, but I do still feel like it's sitting on my skin. So highlighter formula wise, it's not my favorite. I do think the blush is really pretty, but for me, I mean, I'm really limited to these two. This blush is pretty light for me. This one makes me nervous. Now granted, I haven't tried it. I am going to try out the rest of the palette. I would say it's better than I expected, just based on looking at it and comparing it to those Ipsy photos. The blush I think is beautiful. The highlighter is pretty, but again, it is one of those highlighters that just kind of sits on the skin versus just melts into the skin, which isn't my favorite formula, although I think it's really, really beautiful. I have primed my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, and let's jump into the Rose and Wood eyeshadow palette. So because we only have one matte, and it's a deep matte, I'm going to pick it up with an angled brush, and I'm going to take that and place it in my outer corner, and then I'm going to pull that over into my crease. That is extremely pigmented. Wow. I probably have enough shadow on my brush to do both of my eyes with one tap in. That is a really pretty shade though. It's a cool toned brown that's almost black, but also a little bit gray leaning. Very, very interesting shade. And then I'm going to take a fluffy brush, no shadow, and I'm really going to use that to blend and diffuse that out. It's definitely really, really beautiful. And then using that fluffy brush, I'm going to pick up the brown shimmer since it's the deepest shimmer in the palette. And I'm going to place that on the inner portion of my eye and up into my crease a little bit, just to meet that matte shade. This is going to give me a smoky eye look that's a little bit more shimmer heavy. And I can even take that shimmer and kind of pull that over to diffuse out that matte a little bit more. As always, some NYX glitter glue, and then we'll try out some of these shimmers on the lid. Now I definitely want to use the pink shimmer just because it's so unique. It's kind of a pink shift to gold. It's really pretty. I'm going to place that all over my lid with the exception of my inner corner. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. That is that quintessential rose gold. So pretty. It applied beautifully with my finger. I am going to try out brush application method as well. And I'm going to pick up the next pinky leaning shade, the very middle shimmer, and I'm going to place that on my inner corner with a brush. That's really pretty too. It's kind of a champagne leaning shimmer, and I'm pulling that over to meet that pink shade. It went on really nicely with the brush as well. Natasha Denona typically has a formula that you can use either way, brush or finger. I'm going to go back into the deepest brown and just buff that, the only matte, on my lower lash line. One little tap in, light-handed with that shade. It's very pigmented. And then picking up that brown shimmer, just kind of buffing that on top just to smoke it out. And then the last shade in the palette, the only one we haven't used, is this lightest shimmer, and I'm going to pop that on my inner corner. Oh yeah, that is so pretty as an inner corner. It's a mix, honestly, between the other two shimmers. It has a little bit of pink that goes with that rose gold shimmer, and then a little bit of the champagne that goes with the middle shimmer. That is so beautiful. One last blend with that fluffy brush, no shadow. Now let's test out the Ofra liquid liner. Let me swatch this. Oh, it's swatched really nice. It's a nice, fine, thin line. Didn't drag. I got quite a bit of color payoff from that. I'm first going to pull that up to draw in my wing. Then I'm gonna go ahead and connect into my wing and then pull onto my lid. This is nice. This is a nice liner. It is very, very thin, so you don't get a lot at once. So if you want a little bit thicker line, you have to go over it a couple of times, but I like a thinner liquid liner. I like it when it's a little bit thinner because I think it makes your eyes look a little bit bigger. This is going on really nicely though. No skipping, no tugging, nice and opaque. I really like this liner. I like it more than I thought at first because I was thinking this is so thin. It's not really gonna deliver what I want from a liquid liner, but I really like it, especially if you're like me and you like to draw on a wing. The fact that this is so thin makes it a little bit easier. Let me go ahead and do my brows, some mascara, a lippy, and I'll be back and we'll talk about this testing new makeup. So here is the completed look for this testing new makeup. I really like my look. It looks beautiful. I love my eye look. I actually really like the blush and highlighter now that the completed look is done, but let's quickly go over some final thoughts, first impression thoughts on these products. Let's start with the Ciate London Cherry Bomb palette. Like I said, I like this better than I thought that I originally was going to. I don't know if this shade's going to work for me. It may be too light, but honestly, I haven't tested it. So I want to continue to use this. I'm more impressed with this than I thought. I didn't have the best feeling, didn't think it was going to work. Love the blush color, and honestly, the highlighter, it's growing on me. Yes, it's sitting on the skin a little bit, the shade here, but it's really beautiful. And you can build it up to get that kind of scene from space. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. The Lunar Beauty Cream Blush is really, really beautiful. Very pigmented. This is definitely one you want to go very light-handed with. Definitely blend it out with a beauty sponge to get it to blend a little bit better. But I really like it. And I think with a pink leaning look, or if you're going to utilize a pink lippy, I think this would be really fun. And I just love Lunar Beauty as a brand. The Ofra liner, I really like this. I feel like my liner looks really good. It was really easy to apply. Like I said, I wasn't sure I was going to like the thinner applicator, but I actually really, really do. Also impressed with this. Like I said, Ofra's not my favorite brand. I typically only like their blush and highlighter, but I really, really, so far, first impression wise, like this liner a lot. And then last but not least, the Rose and Wood palette. I love my eye look. Absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful with that rose gold on the lid and then that kind of deeper, smokier vibe. I do still wish there was another matte. I wish that they would have maybe replaced one of these shimmers. Although they are different on the eyes, they're not that different. You can see my inner corner highlight and the inner portion of my lid. There's not that difference in the color. I would have liked to have seen maybe a mid-tone or light matte. Love the inclusion of the rose gold shimmer. That's my favorite in the palette. I think it blended out beautifully. Very, very pigmented. Typical really good Natasha Denona quality. Will I reach for this again? Yeah, I think I will. I like this as that smoky, cool toned look with this pop of pink. This is what really makes the palette for me. I think it's absolutely beautiful and the quality is fantastic. So this was a really good testing new makeup. I liked everything we used today. Some things better than I thought that I would. I'm not disappointed at all, and I really like my overall look. I think my eyeshadow looks beautiful, my blush, my highlighter, everything, my liner. I really like the overall completed look. Let me know down below, did you get any of these products in your Ipsy box? Have you tried them? What do you think of them? What do you think of my look? Let me know everything down below. Like I said, I'll link Ipsy subscription. I'll link each of these 4 products individually as long as I can find them online. I'll have my other favorite beauty boxes, all of the other makeup I'm wearing, all my complexion products, setting spray, brows, mascara, all of that linked down below for you. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.